What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 35 of Feel the Heat. Michael was making me speak Espanol 2 seconds ago, and it was very ugly. So let's never do that again. Also, warning, I warned Michael, I warned the Twitter sphere. I can't string together a sentence tonight. I was talking to my best friend in LA earlier, and it was hard
Sorry, real
for
quick. I
me.
don't live in LA.
You
So
are one of my best friends, Mr.
oh,
Michael.
I regret saying anything now.
Yeah, I know. I had to go there. We are coming off of an interesting evening and full day of Heat Twitter, to the point where I actually stayed off of Twitter most of today because I have had enough. But how are you feeling? And let's get into it, I guess.
How do I feel about the Dolphins? Fantastic 4-game winning streak. Too bad this isn't a Dolphins podcast. Miami Heat. Woof. I mean, that's all I can say. It's just really up and down
Are you
performances.
saying woof because we're a bunch of dogs?
I mean, if we're a bunch of dogs, we played like a bunch of Chihuahuas recently.
You know, they're feisty.
Chihuahuas?
Mhm.
Yeah, but
They
can't
mean
do
nasty.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they can.
they'll like bark like crazy and they'll like nip at your ankles and then you just give them one kick.
I like
and you send them
Chihuahuas. I'm
flying.
in the minority there.
Oh, I hate Chihuahuas.
I think
Can't
they're
do it.
so cute.
Oh, they're just these little rats.
Oh, they're so
awesome.
cute.
I can't stand Chihuahuas.
I love all puppies.
But Chihuahuas aren't puppies the whole
All
time.
dogs to me are puppies.
Even like a Great
Yeah.
Dane that's taller
Yes,
than you while
puppy.
you're
Oh
sitting.
my God, I love Great Dane.
They scare me. That's a horse.
I know. I love it. If a Great Dane gets on its hind legs, it's probably taller than me or as tall as me.
Probably because you are legally the size of Oompa Loompa.
I'm
Here's the
5'2".
thing. Yeah, Willy Wonka's calling. Here's the thing with the Miami Heat. It's just been so inconsistent, and my worst fears with this team are coming true. It was never a question of what the on-court product would be from the main guys. It was always going to be how available were the main guys going to be, and that availability keeps coming into question way too often this season. So that's my biggest takeaway from this weekend. And we have some other stuff we want to open with just to be a little bit lighter before, in my opinion, I kind of bash the Heat because I love this team. Something's got to change, and we can talk about that in a second.
Well, I was going to make a joke about nothing being light because I don't know what you ate for Thanksgiving, but I was full for like 4 days. Honestly, I feel like at a certain point, my body just shut down and was like, no more food ever. I had like soup, I think Sunday night, because I was like, if I eat anything more than that,
I thought you had soup on Thanksgiving. I was like, what?
You know better than that. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So let's quickly run down favorite thing you ate, least favorite thing you ate.
Okay, so I'm gonna not do a least favorite thing I ate
because you don't want to offend anyone.
Well, because I don't want to offend anyone, but also just because I didn't have it. I mean, I said it before. The whole green bean casserole thing, it's not my jam. So I didn't have any of that because I just don't like it. So I guess that would have fallen into that. Best thing, I'm going to toot my own horn here. I made turkey this year. This is the first time. Actually, that's the first time I've ever cooked turkey other than turkey bacon.
I don't think I've cooked turkey. Turkey bacon I have every week.
All right. But it's an intimidating thing. I didn't cook a whole turkey. I just cooked some turkey thighs. But I did a whole thing like my mom kind of told me. I like put it in a Ziploc bag 2 days before in the fridge. I put some sofrito, which you probably don't know what that is, but it's like
no, but you're so domestic
and all this stuff, like really chopped up and fine. Put some of that in with some adobo, which is a great seasoning that all Hispanics know. Again, you probably know nothing about it. And some lime juice. I let that sit in there for a couple days, and then I put them in the oven to cook. It came out super fire. That was
the photos looked good. I'm offended you didn't send me any.
What, turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't deserve it. It was.
I deserve the world, Michael.
Find somebody that believes that. I think it was great turkey.
You know what? Favorite. We're not gonna go down this path.
I'm just saying.
So am I.
Okay, then. What did you eat, Alana?
I ate all of my favorite things. And really, I don't know if I can pick the least. I obviously love stuffing. It is my favorite thing from Thanksgiving. However, unfortunately, I could not find any vegan stuffing. And I could not eat as much of it as I wanted to eat because
You mean the wet bread?
Yes, the wet bread. I was feeling it a little bit because it wasn't vegan, so I did not have. I had a little bit on Thanksgiving and then none for my leftovers. So that would probably somehow weirdly be my least favorite thing. Best thing I ate was scarlet pie. I don't know if you know what that is because I did not know what that is. It is a pie specifically, I guess, for this time of year with like, I think it was apple, cranberry, fig, pear, golden raisins, walnuts, and that like crumble top on top of the pie. It was so good. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it before. I nabbed it at Whole Foods. It happened to be just like they didn't make it vegan. It just happens to be vegan. Go get yourself some if it comes back for Christmas because I highly recommend. But yeah, I had a very happy Thanksgiving.
I don't know what Scarlet Pie is, and admittedly, when I hear the word Scarlet, all I think of is one of the 10 books I was forced to read in high school, which was
Oh,
Scarlet
the
Letter.
Scarlet Letter.
Yep. It's probably one of 10 books I've ever read, period.
I don't know if I would like admit that in public, but
What, the whole book thing?
yeah, that you
Oh,
don't read.
you know what? Okay, I'll take it back. I've read plenty of books, if you count comic books.
I don't as an English major, but
I mean, how do you major in English that you grew up speaking your whole life? It's kind of counterintuitive.
that wasn't actually my first language.
Oh, well, do you want to talk about the Heat or do you want to keep being snarky?
I was just going to ask you if you bought anything exciting for Cyber Monday and or Black Friday.
Speaking of comic books, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Marvel game for PS5, not a sponsor. I bought
Not
that
yet.
game. Oh man, that what a land if we got that.
Manifestation.
I bought that game, and that was it.
That's modest.
Because I didn't care to do much else. I don't care for shopping very much. Every once in a while, I'll buy like pants and t-shirts, but that's about it.
This surprises a lot of people. I'm not a big shopper either, but I will say I feel like around this time I like try to do inventory on things I actually need and then see if I can find a deal on them. It's less about just like randomly like perusing, and it's just like for example, I messed up my favorite sunglasses and the brand happened to be 50% off on Cyber Monday, and I was like, this is perfect because I'm going to buy them anyway, so I might as well buy them for cheap. But we're in the same boat there. It's a lot of people.
Let's just save money. We got to spend a lot of it for Christmas anyway. So let's talk about the floundering, inconsistent, up and down, at times infuriating Miami Heat. And specifically, let's just start with the performance from last night. They lost to one of the Jokic triplets. Well, the Jokic triplet, because he ate the two others at some point in the womb and it's still showing on the weight. I am talking about Nikola Jokic.
If people don't come after you for that, like they came after me with Zion, this is unfair.
Zion isn't disliked by Miami fans. Jokic is. So I can say whatever I want about the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Weight is weight. Still the same topic, but continue.
Yeah, but he sucks. So they weren't able to get the win. Jimmy Butler didn't play. Tyler Hero didn't play. Udonis Haslem never came in to really give a nice punch straight across the jawline to Nikola Jokic. And of course, the Nuggets did what the Nuggets do, which is shoot 51.4% from the three-point line against the Heat, because I don't know what it is about when we play the Nuggets, but they become the Golden State Warriors in their prime with Kevin Durant making everything from behind the line. The hell happened last night?
I think the fact that I don't have an answer for that is kind of how I feel so far this season. I don't necessarily think that it's only one thing. There's stuff that obviously, and we'll get into, I can pinpoint as a problem, but I don't think it's one thing alone that's causing the inconsistency for this team. It's not an excuse, but let's not pretend that Jimmy and Tyler not playing didn't have an effect. Of course it did. Duncan is still struggling. Bam had a interesting first half. So there's a lot of stuff across the board that just wasn't working. And let's be real, things were just working for the Nuggets. To your point, the shooting was outstanding. There's obviously, yes, we can put the clamps on them defensively. If the shots are falling, the shots are falling.
Who the F is Bones Highland shooting from
So
7
I
feet
found
behind the
out
3-point line.
Bones apparently is a nickname because I thought that was his real name. I didn't look it up. I'll be honest, I didn't care enough to, but someone tweeted at me that it's a nickname, and I was like,
Well, ESPN has him listed as Bones Highland.
Isn't Bam listed as Bam though? And his real name is Idris. So.
Right. But I don't need to learn a different name if that's what ESPN has.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. But I tweeted something about the fact of like who's named Bones, and I didn't actually even mean that in a negative way. I've just who's named Bones, and someone's like, it's a nickname. So fun fact. But yeah, there's a lot that went wrong.
I tweeted out once, what the F is a Bones Highland? And some random person that's a Bones Highland super fan was like, "You're dead."
Is he a rookie? I've literally never heard of him.
I think he is. He's out of VCU. I believe this is his first season. I am not.
Okay, well, that makes a little more sense then.
This is his first season. He's 21 years
old.
So
where I don't feel as bad of not knowing him. And again, I'm really not trying to throw shade. I will say I actually really dislike the Nuggets as a whole. I don't find the team likable. I, in fact, dislike more members of that team than I like. I also not a fan of the head coach. And I also, like we've discussed, almost died in Denver. So just the Nuggets, let's leave them behind.
Yeah, look, last night was a bad performance. Not having Jimmy or Tyler was a very big part of what happened. Again, even if we did have Jimmy and Tyler, though, I mean, when they're shooting 7 feet behind the 3-point line and making them, you can't really stop that. They shot 51% from the 3-point line. You don't normally beat teams if they're shooting that. And the final score only being 9 points apart, the Heat really didn't deserve that. That really was about a 20-point loss like it was for most of the game there. Mm-hmm. So it was just a flat performance. Nobody really seemed like they showed up. The Heat are missing Markieff in a big way. They're obviously missing Jimmy and Tyler in a big way. Something's got to give. And we can look back on the previous performances. They played against the Pistons. We recorded before the Pistons game. Mm-hmm. And I remember telling you, man, that would suck if we're like in a nail biter against the Pistons. Lo and behold, we were in a nail biter against the Pistons. And then go and lose to the Timberwolves, another team that is not very good and should not be hanging around with teams like us, much less beating us. And then they go to Chicago and win against the Bulls team that many think is real. Not myself, but many think is a real and a good team. So I can't
understand this argument. I feel like you're just saying that to get under my skin because you can't actually believe that. Like, I'd rather you be saying it only to mess with me than actually believing that, because then there's much bigger issues to discuss.
Right. But then why would that stop me from saying that I actually believe it just to further get under your skin? Even
that, but that part doesn't get under, that just concerns me. If you actually don't think that this team's for real.
I don't think DeMar DeRozan can keep it up for an entire season. Legitimately. I don't.
That's absurd.
I think
let's revisit this conversation near the playoffs.
I think the injuries are going to start piling up for them as well. Nope. And so I just don't think that team is going to end as a top 4 team in the East. Genuinely. Are you frustrated that I think they're going to end at like the 5 or 6?
I don't know what's wrong with you.
How?
Okay, let's just move on from this.
Okay. They have been up and down. Their play against below average teams is awful to look at.
That's nothing new though.
It's not. But when you're missing players at certain games during the season, you can't give up those games.
No, and I'm not saying that I'm okay with it. I think, and again, we can get into this. We're complaining about the same thing that we complain about year in and year out. There are patterns, and I'm not saying, okay, sure, obviously it's not like Duncan's been on the team for that long. So yes, 5 years ago, maybe we weren't specifically complaining about Duncan Robinson, but the overarching narratives that fans draw from every win and every loss, it's the same thing. Inconsistency, that's the name of the game for the Heat. Playing up, playing down, still a thing. To me, it's the same pattern of behavior. So why people are so up in arms, and I'm just going to put it out there. I don't understand how people have this much time, energy, and like emotional capacity to care so much about literally every single game. Like, what kind of lives are y'all living?
Wait a minute.
Because if you want to step into mine for literally 2.5 seconds, I care. I want to win. I don't understand people.
This kind of sounds like somebody that's saying like, You're overreacting to regular season because regular season isn't the end all be all.
I never said that.
But
I
that's what it
still
sounds
think
like you're saying.
right, but I never said it wasn't. I still think the regular season matters. My point is that the gross overreaction of literally every single, and you know what? Not even every single game, literally every single quarter. Every single quarter.
I mean, we can just say
it's
every
embarrassing
Duncan.
at
We
this
can just
point.
say Duncan every Duncan miss. The
But
amount
it's
of
not
time.
it's not just Duncan anymore.
No, I know, but like we can go as minute
Yeah, sure.
as every Duncan miss or every, Bam doesn't take a jumper and people get upset, or Kyle misses a shot, which was becoming a pattern in and of itself as well. That stuff isn't worrying me. It sucks that they've been up and down. I'm not happy about that. And I agree with you. These are the same things we've been complaining about forever. And I don't even think we have to go back 5 years. I think we can go back even further than that.
Mm-hmm.
We can go specifically to the big 3 days. That's just how
Absolutely.
it was. All those bad teams played their very best against the Heat. And the Heat didn't come in every night unless they had a reason to. When they played a bad team that had some sort of story or narrative, yeah, they stepped up and they knew what they had to do. When Jeremy Lin came into American Airlines Arena and he was the hottest thing in the NBA, they said, nope, you're done. We're going to shut you down. And since then, Jeremy Lin has been a downward spiral into obscurity. And it started with the Miami Heat. It really did. When they have a reason to step up to things, they do it. It's just there's something about this team and the way it's built in this organization that it just doesn't show up every single night.
You know how they say, like, when you're dating someone or like even as a best friend, you just learn, if you want someone in your life, you just learn to accept them for who they are. Why haven't we gotten there? If you're a fan, I'm not saying you can't have healthy discourse. You absolutely can. It's what we're doing right now. Why are we saying the same thing game after game, week after week, year after year? It's just, to me, like, are y'all new here? Have you not been following the Heat for that long? Like, there are certain characteristics. I'm not saying it's great and I'm not saying it's not frustrating, but I don't know. How can y'all keep this up? How are you not exhausting yourselves? I'm exhausted looking at it.
I will agree with you that I'm not too worried about these losses and these things in terms of like, this is just the way the Heat play. I know this is how a regular season goes. This is how it's always gone. I am used to it. And as I've said before, I'm a big believer that the regular season is the regular season. It is what it is. I think the playoffs are so long that eventually you look back and you're like, okay, the regular season doesn't matter that much. And I understand seeding matters. Showing up when it counts matters. You need to see how the matchups work out. I'm not overreacting to any of that stuff specifically. What does concern me and what I don't like to see is the injuries and the DNPs that are piling up for very important players. Because last season, we said those things were happening because of COVID, because of the shortened off season. They played it super hard and went all the way to the finals. Okay. You don't have any of those excuses this year.
No, but you have an older team.
But you have an older team and you cannot miss those guys and just sit them down if these are the performances that you get when they are out. You can't rest a guy like Jimmy. And I'm not saying he was resting, but I'm throwing out an example. You can't sit a guy like Jimmy and Tyler at the same time, because then what does our offense do? Nothing.
Nothing good.
Nothing. If Duncan Robinson can't buy a 3-point shot, which it seems like that's just the way it's trending, right? It seems like he's going to have, in a 6-game sample, 4 of those games, he's going to shoot 25% or less from the 3-point line. In 2 of those 6 games, he might shoot somewhere between 35 and 50. Maybe. That's the best you can hope for. So that's not a thing anymore. Max Strus, good player, but his 3-point shot is inconsistent as well. Everybody gets real excited when he makes a 3-point shot and immediately like, oh, put Max Strus in the lineup instead of Duncan.
I think, however, that, and there's no comparison. I don't think that Strus's game will ever be near Duncan. So I'm not trying to say we can just plug and chug that in. I think, though, personally, I see Strus's inconsistencies more so of the fact that his, like, the time he gets on the court isn't consistent, and the guys he's playing with are kind of on a rotating basis. I think he has less stability than Duncan. And I don't think that I think he's the kind of guy who it takes the same environment to get him going. Not to say, again, that that's an excuse, because he needs to learn to step up regardless. But I do think for him, It's more so just being yanked in and out and having to kind of fill in different voids depending on the lineup.
No, and I agree with that. It's just that's where I would then say, okay, so then if you're plugging, and I'm not saying you're saying this specifically, but if you're plugging Max Strus into the starting lineup and putting Duncan in Strus's spot, how can you expect Duncan to shoot well with a rotating cast of people that he doesn't normally play with that aren't going to get him as open as he usually is? He's missing shots. It happens. People want to crucify him. Go ahead. I'm a big Duncan fan. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to hope he gets back to normal. And I'm going to be a Duncan fan for the rest of my life. I like him as a person. I want him to do well. But I agree, he's floundering. It's not working out right now. There's just something that's going on, and eventually it's going to reach a tipping point with the guys on the floor. Yeah, they're going to keep feeding him the ball. They're going to keep making the right plays. But you kind of start believing, I better stay down here and try to get a rebound because he's not going to make it, right? It doesn't have the same juice. It doesn't have the same pop. And Jimmy has missed games already this season. Tyler has missed games this season. Bam has missed games this season. Kyle Lowry has missed games this season.
And they're going to keep missing games.
I'd rather have them missing games now during the regular season and earlier in the season than down in crunch time when it really matters during the playoffs. But if you're missing one of those four guys going into a playoff series, this is a completely different team. And I just don't see any confidence going into that saying, okay, we should be favored against her, because we don't know what we'd get. You need Jimmy, Bam, Kyle, and Tyler. And right now, it genuinely feels like Tyler and Jimmy are the only two guys that matter. Yeah, Kyle gets the offense going, and Bam is our big guy. But those two guys are out, and our offense is just truly abysmal. And yeah, it was the Nuggets, and it was one performance. But if they keep missing games, we are in for a rough stretch.
They're going to keep missing games.
And I don't want to sit here and then start making excuses. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, well, they're missing games, so if they had been here, we would want. You can't. It is what it is. They need to find a way to get healthy as a team entirely. Markieff, I don't count because that was, Fatso being an absolute tool. Aside from that, find a way to stay on the court, because if you can't, this team has no shot of winning anything meaningful.
And that's the thing. I don't know what the answer is, because they're going to keep missing games, and Duncan's going to keep struggling, and Bam is not going to be the guy that everyone wants him to be, at least not consistently. Like, honestly, I'm not trying to look at this in a negative light. The things that people are having a problem with, it's not going to be any different tomorrow night or on Friday or on Saturday. Over time, sure. I think Kyle's shot will come. I think he'll learn how to balance. Its way back. I think he's going to learn how to balance feeding the ball to the guys that need it, but also taking charge when he needs to. I think Bam hopefully will come out stronger in those first halves, because it does seem like he takes a while to get going, and that's just not going to cut it. I hope at one point that Duncan's going to come back and be at least close to the Duncan he was, but it's not going to be overnight. So for me, I don't know. I think it's just a matter of literally just sitting here and waiting, and that's it. I don't really know what else there is to say.
I mean, we have to see what we have in the team that's built the way it is, because I personally don't see any move happening at the trade deadline that completely swings my opinion on this team. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I don't see that big move happening this season. Do I think next offseason they make a move? Yeah, sure. I think it depends when we get there. But before the trade deadline, I don't see us acquiring a big needle moving guy. I don't see it. Are they going to try to pick up some people? Sure, but
yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a needle moving guy like on its own. Like, I don't know if it's going to be. I know for a fact, because I don't see who we're going to get rid of. I don't think it's going to be some blockbuster trade. I do think even switching out maybe one or two guys might do something different. I know that it seems like people are kind of split on the depth. And I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know, honestly, if me and you have ever talked about how you feel we are. I don't think we're that deep. And I think it's coming to light, because look what's happening when guys are injured. I think that we have guys that could be great. I think Strus, if he becomes the guy, the consistent guy that he can be, great. Gabe Vincent has shown flashes of brilliance. Doesn't mean it's going to keep up. Obviously, Depot's the X factor. We don't know what's going to happen there. Dedmon is someone who I love and respect and think has been doing a great job. Is he a huge difference maker? No. So if we can get one or two guys that make me feel a little bit more confident in our bench, maybe that'll be something. But to your point, that's not going to fix the current issues that are really weighing us down.
Right. Specifically on those guys. So yeah, Struess and Vincent, when they're on, I have no questions about depth. When they're on, we're good. That's just not all the time. Dedmon is fantastic in the limited minutes that he is out there, but you need to play him in limited minutes because when you make it longer than that, it doesn't work out. Foul trouble comes up. Things don't seem to work out as well offensively. It's just kind of, you don't want him out there for long stretches of time. Omer hasn't really played much this season.
And he's not ready.
And he's not ready for the NBA level, which is something that I mentioned. And I thought of back in Summer League, like he's gonna be a good player, but right now the size seems to bother him. The size and the muscle and the strength seems to not be something that he can handle fully. So he needs some time to get ready as well. When this team is healthy, I have no doubt in my mind that this is a finals contender. And I legitimately mean that. When they are healthy, I think this team can do that.
But
I don't
such
know.
An if.
Right. But I don't know if this team can stay healthy. So I don't think they're going to get a big singular needle moving guy. Might they pick up some other guys like when they picked up Crowder, right? Who come in and you can plug them in right away and it works. Or Ariza, you plug them in right away. It works. That might happen, right? Maybe. It's just happened 2 years in a row. Like statistically speaking, you'd think eventually you're going to try to get some defensive player like that, and it's not going to work out, right? I'm not saying that, it's not going to, but we hit really big on those last two. Ariza and Crowder,
I do think that's kind of,
that's the scouting department, and that's the way we
that's
play.
The front office.
Yeah, but for teams to continue to let us get that, man, it's a tall order. Like there's a lot of
I don't view it like that. I think it would be pretty easy for us to keep fleecing as many teams as possible. It's just a matter of for who.
And that's where I don't know, because I don't know what's going to happen at that point in the season. I mean, you're talking about what is that usually right after the trade deadline is when a lot of these buyouts happen. And then you pick up players like this. There's going to be a lot of competitive teams because right now the East is kind of just a cluster. Everybody's sitting there. Everybody's competitive. And a lot of these teams are all going to think the same thing as the Heat, which is, well, if I get this one more defensive forward that can come in and play consistently, I'll be fine. Or if I get this one guy that shoots the threes a little bit more. A lot of these teams are going to be thinking, oh, so the competition is going to ramp up for that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure that happens either. I just think we got to see where this goes. I'm not saying that they're going to stay injured for long. But if we're sitting here worried about things like Duncan Robinson shooting, and we're worried about Bam Adebayo not being as aggressive in this sample size, if that's what we're worried about, you have to also be worried about the injuries. And I
think that should be the main concern.
Right. Those other things you can change. Duncan can start shooting better. Bam can start being more aggressive. The injuries is kind of a crapshoot. Let's be completely honest. Like you can do everything the right way, and all it takes is one twist of your ankle, one shot to the back, one slip on a layup where somebody hits you out of the air. That's all it takes. And then you're out for a while. And
I have to shout out Ricky here because this man has been saying nothing but that since the off season. And it's interesting because I feel like out of all things, that is the one that no one seems to really be concerned about. And like I just said, I think that's the main concern because it is the one that it's not really up to anything. These guys are in tip-top shape. It's not the conditioning. So sure, Duncan can work on his shot or at least work on being helpful in another way. Bam can work on his aggression. What are you going to do about the injuries? The ages across the board are what they are. Injuries happen. Also, our style of play is just kind of tough. Our conditioning is tough. There's pros to it, but there's also cons when guys reach a certain age. So yeah, I don't understand out of all things. I feel like I would even feel better if Heat Twitter was going on a rant every quarter about the age or about the injuries. But the stuff that they're reacting to, it's getting old.
I think
You're going to tire yourselves out.
It's the stuff that they're reacting to is the stuff that can be controlled. Is the you can shoot better. Is the you can be more aggressive, because you can't control the injuries for sure. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's the Achilles heel, because we've won games where Duncan doesn't shoot well. We've won games where Bam isn't super aggressive. We know what the winning formula is for this team. It's just if you don't have the guys out there doing it, then you don't know. Now, yeah, my opinion can change real quick. If guys like Strus and Vincent play like this night in and night out, right? If they step up their game and play like they have been, sure, my opinion changes. Depot comes back and is the person that I think he is. Yeah, my opinion is going to change. But again, that's another guy that's, let's be honest, we don't know how long he's going to be out there. He can be out there from when he comes back till the end of the season, or he can be out there 3 games. He can be out there 2 months. We don't know. There's a lot of risk that is being taken there with him. Not so much with him, because there's a minimum contract. He's what I call a luxury for this team. But a guy like Jimmy, a guy like Kyle, they can't miss games. And I'm going to say this, and a lot of people aren't going to like it. Tyler Hero, who has been a revelation this year, and in my opinion is, I'm going to say, the number one reason why we're winning games.
Oh, yeah.
I understand it's Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler's a better player. He's more important. He does more. But Tyler's scoring off the bench is what's propelled us, and the most unexpected thing, in my opinion, because I knew he was good. Nobody thought he was going to do exactly this. Tyler is injury prone. It just is what it is. He's been in the NBA.
I don't agree with that.
He has been in the NBA for 2 seasons.
Think about the 2 seasons. Think about the sample of those 2 seasons.
Both of those 2 seasons, he missed significant amount of time.
I'm sorry. I don't think that the bubble and a shortened, weird asterisk season are indicative of, if it was those 2 seasons plus 3 others, then I could give that to you. Those 2 being his only 2, I can't. I'm not saying you're wrong. I personally do not reach that conclusion based on those 2 seasons.
I love Tyler, and I have agreed with the narrative that the future of this team is Tyler and Bam. Eventually, Jimmy will not be the same player. Kyle is going to sign his 1-day contract with the Raptors. Goran will come back, maybe just for you. Tyler has missed significant amounts of time in both of those seasons. And I understand, one was the bubble season and one was the season after, but then he got hurt again.
Okay. That doesn't mean he's injury prone. I don't agree with that label.
I just think if you're expected to miss anywhere between 10 to 15 games each season,
but I don't think
injury.
I think we're expecting Kyle and Jimmy to miss that. I don't think we're expecting Tyler to miss that.
Well, there's a difference between Kyle and Jimmy missing that at the ages of 35 and 31.
But I don't think anyone's expecting Tyler to miss significant games because of injury. I don't think that's an expectation.
No, it's not an expectation, but I would say it's similar to your worry about Depot and his knees.
Oh, I don't think that at all.
Depot and his knees is obviously more frequent, and you have a larger sample size. But in the small sample size we have with Tyler, he has been hurt.
I agree. I just think he was hurt because of the situation of the bubble and the shortened season.
And we will find out this year.
Yeah, for sure. I personally don't think that label, I can't put that label on him right now.
It's something that worries me a little bit, and it's something that worried me last season when it happened to him, because it was these kind of injuries that never seemed like there was that one specific hit, and so you could understand why he was out a few games. It was always just like a soreness, just like something just kind of creeped up on him after a slew of games kind of thing. And that's where, when it happens to Jimmy, you watch him, he plays tough, he gets inside, he lands on a foot, he rolls his ankle. Markeith got smacked in the back by a bitch. The Tyler stuff, it's not like an impact play most of the time. It's like a buildup of things. So that's where it kind of worries me a little bit, right? It seems more like, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but like soft tissue stuff, which is that kind of doesn't go away. So
no, and again, if your concern is valid, I just personally, that's nothing that's crossed my mind. I don't see him as injury prone at all. And
we will disagree on this. I hope he stays healthy.
A lot of things.
I mean, most things. Bulls are frauds. I think that he can stay healthy. for the majority of the season. To expect no injuries is silly. Truly it is. It happens. It's the NBA. This is a contact sport. But for it to be kind of like Kyle misses 3 games, then Jimmy misses 3 games, then Bam misses 2.
Did you not think this was going to be how it plays out? Because I 100% expected this.
I didn't think it was going to happen at this frequency this early.
Okay.
Now, if we go the rest of the season from here on out and they're healthy, it'll be close to what I was thinking because I knew they were going to miss time.
See, I don't know. I'm just used to this. This is the narrative for this team. Inconsistency, health concerns, playing up down to
performance. I understand the up and down thing. I understand. I'm saying the injury part specifically. I knew there were.
But
I didn't think it was going to be like this.
I don't know. To me, that's what I equate our team with. Just injury ridden, literally all the time.
Oof,
I actually can't remember a season where I wasn't like, oh yeah, we're injured. Half our guys are like, oh yeah, we only have literally 9 guys to play with. Like that's just, to me, that's what I equate us to. It's just full of injuries.
And that scares me. It does. Because the East is more competitive this year than I remember being for a while. And if they keep playing up and down the way they are, when you have your full group of guys, you can't go into Detroit and have to have an excellent fourth quarter to come out with a win.
Again, when guys are in and out of the lineup, it's not only the fact that night we don't have a full roster available, but it's the fact that, okay, 2-3 nights later, when the whole gang's back, they then have to get used to playing all together again. But I think, this is what I think Heat basketball is. None of this surprises me. I'm not actually really concerned because it's just something that happens. I have learned to accept it. And yeah, do I hate to lose? I am a competitive bitch. I hate to lose. But none of this worries me. None of this sends me into a tailspin. I don't know if I've just been following this team closer. I don't know what it is. I cannot understand people's surprise, people's overreactions. I don't get it.
I will tailspin if we start acting like, or we start playing like we did last year. There's those specific stretches where we got way too far below 500 and it looked like nothing was working.
No matter who was out there. We just hit the quarter mark though.
Yeah.
To me, it's too early.
Are currently 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Yeah. They are a game and a half back of 1st. This is a very competitive league. And unlike last year, when they play those good teams, they look really good doing it. Right. So what they put out on the floor, I'm not worried about when what they put out on the floor is what we expect. When you're having to rely on Caleb Martin, who we picked up way too late in the offseason, and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, who you were not thinking were supposed to be playing this amount of minutes this early, that's when I start getting worried because those guys out there are not Eastern contenders. Not yet. They're just not. Maybe one day they will be, but right now they aren't. So we'll see where it goes from here. I mean, the next game is against the Cavaliers
tomorrow night,
who are, even the Cavs have a winning record, which is crazy to me. I know it's early, but the Cavs, they should be atrocious.
I mean, this better be a win tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm predicting it as a win because most of the guys are day to day. It looks like Tyler's going to be back. Most likely Bam is going to play. I'm not so sure about Jimmy, but yeah, I mean, I can't not predict the win.
Also, just from a mental standpoint, to come off the loss that they did against the Nuggets, I think they're going to be hungry, and I think those chips on their shoulders are going to be stacked up high. So I do expect a win. You just never know.
You don't, because it could be one of those games where they're close the entire time and then they pull away at the end, or they just never look like they're into it, or they win by some huge 25 margin, which is literally all of the options.
See, isn't it exciting? The roller coaster of life.
No, it's not. I want a team that blows everybody out. And
see, maybe I'm just too used to chaos all around me all the time because this seems perfectly normal.
No,
I'm comfortable in it.
I don't like it. All right. Up and down week. It's rough. The selection process for this has been a tough one. Culture play of the week. I will let you go first.
I'm going with Max Strus. I think it was super cool that he did that stuff with DePaul in Chicago.
Were you one of the 5 people that showed up?
I think that he clearly is becoming very close with Jimmy, which I love. And listen, he again has not been the most consistent, but he has stepped up. He's looking pretty good. I think that if he gets consistent run, he's only gonna keep improving. So I don't know. I'm giving it to Struce this week.
I am going to give it, and I'm going to change it from what I said earlier to you before we
Oh,
started recording. I'm going to give it to Kyle Lowry, actually,
okay.
because his shooting is still not where we'd like it to be, but it is steadily improving.
Mm-hmm.
And he is learning how to play with the guys around him. And I think truly his numbers, assist wise and everything, would be so much better if someone like Duncan was making some damn shots, right?
It
Like,
really pained you to say.
yeah, it does. I love Duncan Robinson, and everybody's like,
I
"Oh,
know.
your boy." Like, hey, my boy sucks right now. It is what it is. But yeah, I think Kyle Lowry is figuring it out, and I think he's figuring it out well. And I think he is becoming the point guard, the leader of the offense that we've wanted to. I mean, he's been that the entire time. But once the shot starts coming in too, then it opens up a lot of things for everybody else. And so now that I see that coming, and he's been a consistent guy the whole season, he makes the right passes. He plays good defense. The only thing that hasn't been there is a shooting. He's stuck with it. He's doing those other two at a very high level. I got to give it to Kyle Lowry, who is the best all-around player we have right now because he's available, which is a big deal. So,
Mr. Big Booty.
okay. I wasn't going to go there. You did. He Twitter stuff.
We kind of already touched upon, I think, literally every topic because, again,
Yes,
he Twitter is driving me insane.
We did. So then would you like to go around the league and
I
start talking
would.
about your favorite NBA center behind Blake Griffin?
So I actually don't have a problem with DeMarcus Cousins. He's a Leo, and I respect the temper because it comes from there. However, let me just say something. Boogie to Milwaukee had me literally audibly laughing by myself. Like, I don't know
Milwaukee
what.
cold place?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd get a lot of boogies in Milwaukee.
Oh, Michael.
Yes, freaking got him. Oh, what a joke.
Who is them in this situation? Who did you get exactly?
Anybody. I'm a damn national treasure.
Okay. Something about that fit. It just Boogie and Giannis, Boogie and Bobby Portis. I don't know what it is. There's just something about that fit. I don't know. I cannot wait to see how this is going to play out. Do I think it's going to go well? Not really. Again, I don't have anything against the man. I just, Boogie on the Bucks. That's a move.
Yeah, I appreciate you vamping there as I try to fix my mic, which was apparently falling over. So to anybody watching the pod, you just saw me fidgeting around. See, and there.
Usually,
I don't know what to do.
Back in the day, Michael would have edited that out. Back in the day, but now we have this visual medium and he can't do it. So for once, I'm not the klutz.
I wouldn't have edited it out though, because unlike you, I own up to my things. No, unlike you,
because I vamped and then you didn't have to edit it out because if there's no video, up,
you text me after, you're like,
"Oh, I'm perfect."
It's so embarrassing.
No.
Yeah, no shot. You're a Leo. So
exactly.
Boogie to Milwaukee. I don't think it matters. Genuinely, I don't think it matters. I think.
How can you not find it hilarious? So I don't think it matters or doesn't matter. That fit is so clunky from every perspective.
But the Milwaukee Bucks were already clunky and they found a way to win a championship.
No, I don't. Okay, you're just.
No, I'm being serious. That was a clunky ass team.
I'm not saying that. How do you not see the hilarity in this?
I just don't find it that funny.
Oh, man.
It's Boogie Cousins. Look, I would have taken him on the Heat last year. I'll take him on the Heat still. See what he has. I just don't think he has much left. Maybe Boogie comes back and he's this rejuvenated player and he's all world and him and Brook Lopez become this dominant force for the Bucks and they become great again. I just don't think it's Boogie Cousins. There's a reason why he was available this late into the season.
On the other side of things, Goran is seemingly away indefinitely from the Toronto Raptors. And although nothing has been confirmed, obviously I hope it's just him not wanting to be there and not like an actual personal problem. Although they did say he went back to Slovenia. So it might be a little bit of both. I hate all of this for Goran, just all of it. And I want him to find a home somewhere soon. Hopefully the Mavericks, so he and Luka can reunite. I know we can't get him back because of 100 rules and regulations, at least not right now. Were you surprised by that? How do you feel about it? I know you're not as connected to Goran as I am, but hopefully this did something for you.
I genuinely think there might be a chance that Goran retires.
Oh no, I don't think so.
I think so. I think he is so unhappy in Toronto, as anybody who has to play basketball in Toronto would be, except for apparently Kyle Lowry.
Why? Toronto's a great city.
Sure, but basketball wise, it's not like you're dying to be in that organization.
I don't know. I think it's actually a pretty solid organization. The fans are diehard over there.
Sure, but like right now, like
no, sure, right now, but I'm
like
saying
Goran,
in general.
Right. If you're somebody that they're building around, it's different. But for a guy like Goran, who's a coach's decision DNP, living in a city that he probably doesn't want to
right
be
now,
in,
that's
going from Miami too, where he was appreciated by the fans in a way, goes up to Toronto where none of them even want him and they're complaining about everything because Toronto fans are this very sad group of 5 people on Twitter. I just think I wouldn't be surprised if he retires. Like maybe there's something going on in Slovenia. He needs to go take care of it. He just decides, you know what? I've had my time in the NBA. I don't feel like waiting it out for the Mavericks. Maybe I should just hang it up. I'm not saying that he is done, right? Like I'm not saying like he can't play anymore.
No, you're just saying that's the choice. I get it. I don't see that, but maybe I don't know. Maybe you're right. That didn't even cross my mind, to be honest.
Hoping for him to come back to the Heat. I really don't see how that would ever happen.
It's gonna. Once the statutes are done, it's 100%.
I think he might come back to sign a one-day contract and retire.
I think it's going to be his last year, a full year. I don't think it's going to be longer than a year, but I think it's going to be a year.
I'd be surprised to see that. But I just think, look, he was never happy up there in Toronto. He didn't want to be up there in the first place. I wish they had done right by him early on and sent him over to Dallas. Whatever it is that's going on in his personal life, right? If there is some big thing happening to him and his family in Slovenia, all the best. I do like Goran a lot. I do. And I wish him the best at all times. I'm just not as hooked on him as you are.
I know.
And so I wish him the best, but I'm not like, come back to the Heat. Like, I could take it or leave it.
I mean, I just want him to be happy. Obviously, I want him back, but even if it isn't in Miami, I want him to sort his situation out, whether that be basketball wise or personal.
And that to me counts for most athletes because I think we underestimate what they go through. And I understand it's really easy to think they get paid money to play a game. I mean, that's still a lot of pressure. And there's still a lot of people counting on you. You still have other things going on in your life, right? Like something happens to a family member or something from your past comes up, or maybe you just have anxiety or something's going on, right? Like these things happen. There's Calvin Ridley right now who had to take time away in the NFL. There was another wide receiver, AJ Brown, who had mentioned he had suicidal thoughts at one point too. Like these things happen. These athletes are humans. And I think they deserve their own time and space when they feel they need it. And if Goran feels like that's what he needs right now, I think, first of all, I'm happy for him that he's making that decision because it isn't an easy one. And whatever it is, I hope that I don't even know that it gets better, that it gets resolved. Since I don't know what it is, we can't speak to it. But would I like to see Goran back on a basketball court? Yes. But if it's best for his mental health and his well-being to stay in Slovenia and stay home and do that, all more power to him if he wants to do that.
You know what? That is such a nice way to close this episode. You made me so warm and fuzzy, Mr. Michael.
Okay, we won't talk about what happened with the fan ejections because that is kind of a sour note to end it on. So I think this is much better.
Yeah, let's just wrap it up in a bow with Goran. We'll see what happens tomorrow night or tonight, I guess, if you guys are listening to this in the morning against the Cavs. Thank you for listening as always, and good night, y'all.